Hey there guys, welcome back to another episode of Monster Super League. It's your boy Odin, and today we're going to be going over Titans. I wanted to do an overall Titans basic guide to help a lot of you new players who may be returning to the game, or some of you players that are just completely into beginner mode to mid-game level. To kind of help out some of you guys who may be struggling with your teams, and also who can don't know much about Titans mode and what it is, and to help you guys get started with your setups. If you guys don't know, Titans is a great way to get rewards every single week. There's definitely a lot of Astro Gems to be had here, especially once you start getting into the late game. Depending on how great your teams are, you'll eventually start getting even better rewards if you and your clan start doing really good. So right now, you guys can see here the rewards: 4.8 and 4% for the top three, and then it gets slowly decreased as you go down the list here, depending on how much damage you deal. The majority of people that I know usually end up falling between the 20 to 30th places. But I'll tell you right now, there's a lot of you guys who are brand new to the game, can be doing 4 to 10 on the rewards there. So I think a lot of you guys could use this guide, and so I figured, you know what, it's a perfect time to go over it, since we also got a brand new skill by the brand new Astromon Nav 5 called Okeanos, who gave us a brand new skill set called attack or offense and defense, which I will go over here in a little bit. So in case you guys don't know, Titans mode is essentially a mode where you just want to deal as much damage as you can in the shortest amount of time possible. Your goal here is to make it to survive as many turns as you can while dealing the most amount of damage. You guys have definitely seen my videos that I've loaded up here before, with some players doing 8 billion damage, such as True Hero Luca. And then there's other people like Jeffrey DPS, who was also way up there in the 4 to 5, 6 billion range now in damage. So definitely make sure you guys check out those videos as well. But yeah, Titans is actually really fun. I really enjoy it. There's a lot to do. There's a lot of different compositions, I think it's definitely one of the best ways to get Astro Gems every single week. So for some of you guys who may be running dry on your gems, make sure you build up your Titans teams. And I'll definitely go over some of the Astromon that you guys can build that are very easy to get and farmable as well. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and give a thumbs up and a like to this video. And if you are a new player, consider subscribing. There's definitely a lot for you guys to learn. You guys can definitely join the Discord and communicate with other members of the community if you need help with your Titans, etc. So there's definitely a lot to learn here. So right off the bat here, guys, you'll come into your clan battles here in the center. There's 3 different windows that will pop up. You have your reach and defense, and then you hit that tab over for the practice mode, and that's essentially where you can start setting up your teams in practice mode to just save them up. You can save your layouts, etc., so that you guys can use them, depending on different Titans in different days of the week. Yeah, just a pretty good place to start practicing your lineups. So the first thing that I'll go over is going to be just your overall general placement, and I'm basically just going to keep these lineups here for you guys to take a peek. But first things first is the leader skills, as you guys will see here in the layout that I have. You're going to want your debuffs and a defensive type leader skill here on the left hand side. There's really 2 different ones that you can use right now that are very good. One of them being the Water Cure, which gives you attack down, so it reduces the Titan's attack down by this percentage depending on your variant level. And then there's also one more skill that you can use that is provided by Astromon, such as the Wood Mini Cat, and I believe that one is called, let me see if I can pick her up here. It is Jesus, Nox is so slow sometimes, come on. Oh boy. But essentially, charging stance here, it decreases the enemy's defense by 30 to 35%. On Nat 5s, that's 40 to 45%. And likewise with the Water Cura's leader skill, it's 30 to 35%. But once you use a Nat 4 or a Nat 5, or Nat 5, such as the Okeanos, it's 40 to 45% attack down. So okay, so yeah, definitely you want to have a defensive, type leader skill on the left, and then on the right-hand side, you're gonna want a attacking type leader skill for sure. There is one exception, being in the Wood Titan or the Water Titan lineup. Let me go ahead and actually move this here. the Water Titan lineup, because right now, if you're looking at what I'm showing here, believe it or not, you're actually going to be dealing a little bit more damage if you were to be using the Wood Bast as your leader if she is variant. However, if you're not using a Wood Bast, you can also just slide over the Merlins over to the left. And in hopes of finding someday some variant Gleam to give you guys that resistance down leader skill. And yes, guys, resistance down does work in Titans as well. Not really useful in any way, sense of shape, but it can be used here. So just like how you guys see here, you can use defense down, like I said, a defensive leader skill on the left, and then some type of attacking leader skill here on the right. You know, such as the light boltwing, for example. He's a very good leader. Crit damage. You can also, if you have somebody on your fire titan team, or you know, you can use attack. And I think in water, I'm using attack as well. So there's definitely other leader skills that you can use. The water Gilgamesh, for example, also has that charging stance, which reduces the enemy's defense by 40 to 45%. So there you go, guys. That's essentially the only thing I wanted to cover here as far as placement for your leader skills. Defensive leaders on your left, and then attacker leaders on your right hand side. With regards to the rest of your setup, which I will hopefully go over here in a little bit as well, I'm going to show you guys a dark team. There we go, or a light team, I should say. You're going to want to have your debuffers on the left. So, you know, as you guys will see here, my Neza's got blind and weaken covered. The Wood Vivian has defense down. The Hana has attack down and defense up. So you're going to want to have some of those debuffs here kind of covered. And then if you don't already know, if I didn't already explain it, the reason why the Water Kira is so good here and this first slot is because she has exposed weakness. And her attack is very, very slow, which means that she'll hit that exposed weakness at the end, which will ensure that the boss has exposed weakness so that your attackers on the right hand side can take advantage of that exposed weakness to deal double damage. So taking a peek again, this is kind of how you want to have your setup. Another possible lineup that you guys may have, as you guys will see here, I'm going to go ahead and throw up the Water Cure on this team as well, is you're gonna see that my Wood Scheherazade, who is also a very good debuffer, has defense down and weaken, and then my Water Bass also have weaken, and then you know, I have attack down and covered on the right hand side. So okay, I think this is probably a good place for me to start going over the skills, just because it'll be really good to get you guys into the ins and outs of what you'll really need. So let's go ahead and start out by doing team buffs. So team buffs that you're going to want to have in order to help you survive. The first one's going to be defense up. You're going to want to have defense up in every single team and every single setup, with the exception of only one Titan, that being the front lane on the Wood Titan. And I'll say that again. With the exception, you're going to want defense up in every Titan except the Wood Titan on the front lane. And the reason why you essentially don't need defense up on your Wood Titan setup is because the Wood Titan actually has buff break as his skill on the front lane here. So every time he hits you, he's going to completely wipe out all your buffs. Therefore, defense up is completely useless because it will get erased by the buff break. So I'll get into the whole ins and outs of these different setups later on in a later guide, one that covers each specific Titan in depth. But for now, let's just go ahead and stick with going over you know, the Titan basics here. So let's see. So defense up, in case you don't know, increases your total defense by 70%. And then super evolved healers such as the Hana give you 80% defense up. So keep that in mind, guys. If you do have a super evolved healer, if they have defense up, they'll eventually get, I think it's like a 10% stat boost, and therefore the Hana ended up getting an 80% boost of defense up. So keep that in mind. If you have a healer that's super evolved, they're going to have a little bit higher defense up. The next buff that I'll cover is going to be the attack up buff, and that the attack up buff is definitely needed on the right hand side. As you guys see here on my setups, I have the you know, what's called the light baby shark, who's a really good team buffer for attack up. On the dark team and the light teams, I have Venus, who is also a very, very good attack up and defense, or attack up and attack down Astromon. So definitely you're going to want to have that attack up on your right hand side to buff your courageous strikers. So the next buff that I'll go over is the brand new skill brought up by the Okeanos. This skill is tied right now specifically to the dark type Okeanos, the light type Okeanos, and I believe the water Okeanos. So it's a very limited skill for right now, but I'm sure after a balance repatch in the future, we may get this skill in 1 or 3 healers that may be the 3-star or a 4-star mon, so keep your eyes peeled. So if you don't know, offense and defense increases total damage by 30% and total defense by 50%. And then when you stack that or combine it with attack down and defense down, you'll be essentially getting a total damage of 70 to 75%. Right now, because this is only the first week that the Astromon Okeanos has been out, I've been testing her out heavily, but so far I'm getting kind of mixed numbers between 73 and 75, so I'm just going to leave it at 70 to 75%. I'm sure after a couple more weeks of testing, more people will come out with some better numbers than what I have, but for now, just trust that it's somewhere between 70 to 75% when combined with attack up for the for the attack up portion of it. And then for the total defense, it caps out at 100%, just as I thought it would. So you're only going to be getting, if you're using somebody, let's say like the Woodhana, your total defense is only going to go up straight up to 100%. So you know, keep that in mind, guys. If you're not stacking these 2 skills up with attack up or defense up, you're only going to get 30% and 50%. And then if you are stacking it, you know, it's around 70-75% for attack up and then 100% total defense. So that's it, guys, for those ones. Like one more other buff that I guess I'll go over, which is specifically tied to the Wood Titan, is shield. There are 3 different types of shields that you can use. That's an HP based shield, which is the strongest, and that's just calculated by your max HP times 0.18. And then the second strongest shield is a level based shield, and that's a flat 12,000 HP shield. The third one, being the weakest, is just a regular flat shield, which is 1,000. So you guys will be able to tell the difference between those, because each one of the Astromon that have the shield will either say an HP based shield, it'll say based on their level, or it will just give you a shield, you know, and it won't say what it is. So that's your flat shield. So that's your 3 ways to distinguish the shield types. One thing that I'll say, and the reason why I recommend a shield for a lot of beginner players for the Wood Titan, is because right now, let me go ahead and go to the Wood Titan. If you guys can see here, you know, if you don't have a good leader skill, and just how I mentioned before, you're going to want to have a defensive leader skill here, you could find somebody like the Fire Cura who has that skill set. And what the shield does is it allows you to essentially negate the buff break. So shield, if you don't know, essentially negates a lot of those status ailments or status negative statuses. So the shield is a very good way to survive an extra turn or 2. So I recommend a lot of you guys to pick up the Fire Cura and use her as your leader, because she'll be giving you that defensive stance leader skill, so increases or decreases the enemy's attack power, and she'll be giving you a shield, and she'll be giving you guys a little bit of a morale boost. I think that she would definitely benefit from having a different skill, like, you know, let's say exposed weakness. Hint hint, smart study if you're watching my video. Exposed weakness on the Fire Cura would be awesome. And that would definitely help out, I think, the front lane. I mean, there's definitely a lot of Astromon that you guys could use, and you know, it may be questionable to give her exposed weakness, but I think that it would be a good combination for her for a lot of new players and beginner players and mid-game players. So definitely another option that you guys can use. And I'll go over specifically, you know, how that will work in the Wood Titan guide. So there you go. So the next thing that I want to go over is going to be your debuffs. And that, again, pertains to the Astromon on your left-hand side here. You're definitely going to want to have as many debuffs as you can get. And we'll start off with the first one, which is Attack Down. And Attack Down decreases the Titan's attack by 50%. So you're going to want to have Attack Down for sure to make sure that you survive longer. The other skill that you're going to want to have is going to be defense down. Defense down decreases the Titan defense by 70%. So definitely good to have so that you guys are, again, able to deal a little bit more damage to the boss. The next skill that we're going to talk about here is Weaken, and then Weaken is one of those skills that, just similar to the offense and defense buff, it has its diminishing return. So the Weaken essentially decreases the Titan attack and defense by 40% when not combined with any other skill, such as attack down or defense down. But if you already have attack down and defense down applied, and then you apply Weaken, you essentially stack that to a total of 70% attack down and then 82% total defense down. So, you know, it does give you a bit of a boost by having the Weaken stacked with the attack down and the defense down. So if you're looking at the numbers comparatively, you know, the regular attack down is just 50%. When it's combined with Weaken, you get 70%. And then defense down is 70%, but when combined with Weaken, you get 82% total defense down. So definitely good to stack all three of those debuffs, since, you know, they'll allow you to deal a lot more damage. The next skill that I'll go over is going to be Blind. This skill is extremely important for the Light Titan and the Light Titan only. If you're using Blind on any other Titan, I would say you're wasting that slot because Blind essentially is kind of useless in the other Titans. You really are not really doing much by having Blind in the other Titans. The reason why you need Blind in the Light Titan is because the Light Titan has a 100% chance to essentially crit you. And so you're gonna need to have Blind in order to survive more than your couple turns, and it's the main reason why a lot of people are discouraged or avoid getting into the Light Titan, because they think that, or they can't survive so many turns. But honestly, if you're building a team and you pick up Blind, you can definitely survive in the Light Titan with no problem whatsoever. With the addition of trinkets and relics and things like that, you know, that give you crit rate resistance, you can definitely survive a lot longer in the Light Titan, and I'll go over that when I do the Light Titan guide as well. And definitely, I encourage a lot of new players to start building for the Light Titan first, because there are so many new mons and Astromon that have been rebalanced that give you Blind and attack up, such as the wood, what's his name, Mildew. But yeah, I'll go over those Astromon here in a little bit. So keep that in mind, guys. Blind, useless in every other Titan besides the wood or the Light Titan. So you're gonna want to have Blind for the Light Titan. And then again, one more debuff that you're going to want to have is Exposed Weakness. That is extremely, and I repeated that 3 times because it is very important, extremely important for damage dealing in Titans. And you're going to want to take advantage of Exposed Weakness as much as possible. And because it is one of the only ways to boost your damage, you're going to want to time your Astromon that you have in your lineup to allow for Exposed Weakness to be placed on the left hand side last, so that your first Astromon on your lineup, like this, will take advantage of that Exposed Weakness. So right now, the way you're looking at my setup, Kira will attack, you know, very slow. Her animation is very slow. So Exposed Weakness will essentially be applied at the end, and then the first Astromon that hits it, being the Wu Jin, because his attack animation is fast, or the Dark Indra, because his attack animation is fast, they're going to deal double the damage. And that's how you're going to be really able to kind of boost your damage in Titans, is by taking advantage of that Exposed Weakness. And then if you look at my other setups, guys, you'll also see I'm using Kira here for them. I'm using Kira again for the Boltwing and the Siegfried. And then also, guys, if you don't know, Boltwing's attack animation is super slow, so that his attack will essentially leave Exposed Weakness up at the end, and I'm able to take advantage of that with the Light Cernunos on the left hand side. So that's a good example for some of you guys that are beginner to mid game, that, you know, there is definitely going to be a lot more ways to set up your Titans once you get into mid game and late game as well. So one thing to note there, you know, you can do something like that where Exposed Weakness can also be left for the left hand side, but that's a more complex build, mainly for mid game to end game players, but that is something to keep in mind, that there is other ways to set that up. So But I did at least want to go over how that works so that you guys can kind of see my teams and figure out how to do your lineups as well. And again, once I go over the in-depth guide for those, you guys will be able to see what Astromon you can build. So. Alright, so now that I've gone over those basic things, I do want to go over one last thing before I end the video, and that's Astromon that you guys can build. If you guys are looking here, let me go ahead and go to the light one. There's definitely a lot of Astromon that you guys can use. Let me go ahead and see if I can pull up yeah, here he is. Here's the Fungor. So Fungor, or the Mildew, is a 2-star Mon who is extremely easy to farm, and he has a pretty nice skill set that you guys can use in the Light Titan, specifically the Water one. So the Water one is pretty much an exact replica of the Water Kira, with the exception that he doesn't have attack up, but he has defense up. So on your left hand side, if you're looking for a healer with defense up and exposed weakness, he is a really good Mon to have on your left hand side, because he also has the defensive stance leader skill, which decreases the enemy's attack power by 20 to 25%. It's 10% less than what the Water Cura provides at variant level 6, but if you find a variant level 6 of him, you can get 25%, which, if you were to compare him, his leader skill with a Cura that has, let's say, only a level 1 variant leader skill, you're only losing 5% on that attack down. So I think the Water Fungor is probably one of the easiest Astromon to build, and I highly encourage new players to build at the very minimum 2 of him. Very easy to farm on the last continent, on the last stage as well. So definitely pick up a Water Fungor. The other version of him that I definitely think all of you guys should build right now is the Wood Fungor, because the Wood Fungor has blind and attack up. So that basically makes him an excellent option to use on the right hand side if you need somebody with blind and attack up for the Light Titan. And you know what, I think that despite his low stats, if you build him on HP defense, he will go the extra mile, providing you guys that much needed blind and attack up for your team. And you can also use him in other Titans as well, so keep that in mind, especially for the Water Titan. If you don't have anybody that's got attack up, such as the Baby Shark or the Venus, you can use the Wood Fungor. And keep that in mind, again, guys, he does have the defensive stance, so if, let's say, you only have one Wood Merlin, you can definitely use him with the Merlin to pick up, the attack up on that right hand side, especially if you don't have like somebody like the Wood Bast. So definitely make sure you build him up. For Apophis, I will say that the light one is actually very good, or the fire one is very good to build as well. But for Titans purposes, guys, the water and the wood one are going to be very good. So definitely make sure you guys build him up. Another Astromon that you guys can build is actually the water, what's his name? Lumina? And I think I have her here somewhere. If not, I'll probably back out of here to the guide. But, oh, let me pause that. Let's go ahead and talk about the Water Khatin, because the Water Khatin is actually very good as well for the Fire Titan. Unfortunately, she has Shield Break on a 3-star skill, which makes her that skill completely useless. But the defense up can be skill booked to 3 turns, which is excellent for the Fire Titan. And then she also has that charging stance leader skill, guys. So you could pair her up with the Water Mildew, and there you have defense up covered by both of them. And then you'll also have exposed weakness. But right now, I would say that the better build is going to be the Fungor. The Water Fungor, in my opinion, has more use than the Water Khatin right now. But yeah, I think that she's definitely useful. Aside from that, the Fire Khatin is also a very good option because she does have exposed weakness and attack up. One thing that I will say, exposed weakness on her is actually quick enough for you guys to also take advantage of that with the Acer if you're using her on the right hand side, or the Balrona if you're using her on the right hand side as well. So even though she is a fire typing, she can be used in the Water Titan, the Fire Titan, so you guys can definitely use her there. So Other Astromon that you guys can build for the Light Titan, as you guys can see here, is the Dark Otari. Dark Otari is actually very, very good because he does have a 100% chance to blind, and then he also has attack down. So I definitely recommend you guys to build him up from, you know, getting him from the eggs and then using his skills in Titans as well. So really good and easy monster to build. He's very easily farmable from the story through the 2-star versions that you guys can pick up. So definitely make sure you pick up the Dark Otari. If you're looking for somebody with defense down and blind as well, the fire one, even though he is just a 2-star, he can definitely make some pretty good use of those skills on HP defense gem set. And he does have that critical hit leader skill, so definitely a good monster that you want to put together on the right hand side. Again, if you only have somebody like, let's say, one Water Acer or one Wood Merlin, he is still a very good option for a leader skill on either one of those setups. So definitely take you know, advantage of that and build those really easy to build Astromon. So another Astromon that you guys want to build is somebody like the Dark what's his name, Squirrel. And let me get out of here. Maybe it'll be faster for me to show you guys on the guide, because I can kind of skip through a lot more Astromon quicker that way as well. But yeah, so the Dark Squirrus or Squirrel is also a very good Astromon to build because he has attack down and defense down as well. So, you know, depending on where you are in the game, you're going to be very selective with the Astromon that you build. But I think that for a lot of new players, definitely a good monster to build. So as you guys can see, I had already kind of set up here a couple of Astromon that you guys could use to help your Titans setup. And let me go ahead and pick on the Dark Squirrus. So the Dark Squirrus is an attack power leader skill, so fighting spirit. And then she also has, like I said, the attack down and the defense down, which can be skill booked as well. So definitely an easy monster to build. He is a 3-star Darkmon though. He can only be acquired through the 3 to 5-star eggs, but I find that I pull him very often. So most of you guys should be able to pick him up from the eggs as well. Another Astromon that you guys can build, like I said, is going to be the Water Lumina. She is an exact copy of the Wood Fungor with blind and attack up, which can be skill booked, so definitely take advantage and build her up. The Fire Lumina is also really good because she has defense down and defense up, and that defensive stance leader skill, so that makes her an extremely usable leader for your left hand side on a lot of the Titan setups, you know, particularly the light and the dark one. Because she also has 20% resistance as part of her base kit, so definitely an Astromon that you guys can take very good advantage of in building. So you know, for most new players, the Water Fungor and the Fire Lumina are 2 Astromon that I will say, excuse me, you guys will definitely take advantage and build and benefit greatly from building those Astromon. So definitely make sure you guys pick her up. The Wood Lumina also is a good replacement if you don't have a Fire Cura, but her shield is a flat shield, so that's only a 10,000 HP shield that you're going to get, which doesn't really help out in the long run, but she has a defensive stance leader skill, and she also has defense or attack down. So again, Lumina, pretty good, easy to build. The Fire one, you know, the Wood one, the Water one, they're all really easy to build and really good mons to build. You know, they are 2 stars, like I said, but if you put them on HP defense, they should definitely be able to do the job for you when it comes to helping you survive in those Titans teams. So there's definitely a lot of other Astromon that you guys can use, but I'll go over more into those when we go over the in-depth guides. And I think that this is probably a good place for me to stop because this video is definitely running a little bit long. But I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed this Titans basic guide. And definitely subscribe to the channel and stay tuned and hit that notification bell for the next setup of guides, which will start off with the Light Titan. Then we'll do the Dark Titan, then we'll do the Water, Wood, and lastly the Fire one. Anyways, guys, that's it for this video. I hope you all guys enjoyed the content. I'll catch you all on the next one. Take it easy.